the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to the Halley Elise Show, featuring your host, empowerment psychic Halley Elise. She is an author, psychic, and media personality, and has been listed as one of the top 100 psychics in America. Empowerment psychic Halley Elise shares the spiritual, metaphysical, holistic, and magical powers of the universe. Follow Halley on her website at HalleyElise.com, and all her shows can be seen via live stream video. Now, here's your host, empowerment psychic Halley Elise.
Hi, and welcome to the Halley Elise Show. I'm glad to be back on the air and back at WNN. Trying something a little different because we've got live streaming taking place while on the radio. Kind of fun. It actually is reminiscent of when I used to do Push and Pull at midnight, and we would have the live streaming. The difference is I don't have to fight with the camera or the computers. Everything is taken care of, which is a nice thing, nice change. Anyways, thank you for coming on. Okay, I'm not speaking well. I was just mentioning earlier today I'm tongue-tied, so this is going to be funny, and we'll see how things go today. Anyways, I was going to say thank you for being with me, there you go, today, which is our first show back on the air, and I plan on having a lot of fun. Over time, you'll notice that we have lots of different guests that come on. I'm very excited to say that Dr. Eric Pearl will be joining me. I will be having Barbara Norcross joining me. You are going to be delighted and surprised by all the wonderful guests that come on. And then, of course, I'll do my thing wherein you have the ability to call in and ask questions and get psychic phenomena and information, things that are holistic and relevant to your life, for the community. All good stuff. So for the next couple of shows, you just get me, but that's okay. It's one way to kind of get reacquainted. All right, then. So for today, I was really giving a lot of thought as to what direction we should go in and what should be shared. And what came to mind was Ho'oponopono. And some people go, what? What is that? And I actually said it correctly. All friends tease me about the fact that I say it kind of funny. But it's a Hawaiian phrase, or Hawaiian word, if you will, that is representative of the healing arts of Hunakane, and it is a particular methodology that helps you with healing. What's amazing about it is you use words, and the words themselves create healing. Now, we've all heard thoughts or things, watch what you say, power of intention. All of this is taken into consideration, and yet it is so simple. So I'm going to share with you the original version, and you can actually look it up online afterwards and see what you think. And I will also share a version or a variation of the Ho'oponopono that a lovely Hawaiian priest taught me. I think it was about a year ago, maybe 2 years. You don't have to think about that. All right, so give some thought to, we know that all things are energy, that things are mutable, that energy changes form. It never dies, it never leaves us, it just changes form. When it comes to healing, oftentimes we forget that. We think, well, this person is sick, we have to have medicine, or there has to be surgery, and in many situations that's very apropos, and yet you have the ability to start to transmutate what's taking place within yourself and with others also, on an emotional level, on a cellular level. And it's interesting because there's that whole contradictory thought process with Western medicine versus Eastern medicine. We're becoming more, I'll say, comfortable with all of it, and yet there still seems to be that in-between space where some say, oh, it's lovely, it's wonderful, and I'll embrace it, and others say, nope, it's a bunch of, I don't know, hooey. It's pretend. It's, that new age stuff. Now, I find that kind of ironic because how long are we going to have that new age stuff for? People have been saying this for years, there's been that change. Who was it, the Fifth Dimension, who sang the song Aquarius and talked about in the song of that new age coming. It's been here for a while, and it's actually not new, it's old. If we look back into history, go back to the early 1900s, go back even further into times where there were kings and queens that took care of everything. There were healing properties and modalities that were used that today we seek out. We're first learning what herbs can do. We're first learning about the power of our thoughts and intention. We are learning that touch really means something. I find it really lovely that we do things instinctively that, you don't have to be trained on. And I'm going to share a little bit more succinctly. I'm just thinking in terms of when a baby is born, you don't have to teach them to breathe. They just breathe. You find, though, that their breath is very different than an adult. They take very slow, deep, fluid breaths. If you watch a baby, an infant specifically, you'll notice that their stomach only rises and falls a few times during a minute. And that's because they're still deep breathing. They're still connected with just pure essence, with energy, with the divine. It isn't until they start to grow and learn about the constraints of this world we live in that things change. We all shallow breathe. Can you imagine trying to deep breathe while you talk? I mean, really, it would be like, so how are you? It would be a little difficult. So this is why we shallow breathe, but this is also why things such as meditation and breath work are so prevalent and create such a nice change in our world. Okay, so I'm going to come full circle, and you'll find with me, if you're first tuning in, I do this a lot. I'll start in one area and I do a 360, and I do come back to where I started with the Ho'oponopono, with the healing. It is important to breathe because breathing is life essence. And anyone who is ill or combating an emotional problem, sadness or depression, if they would learn how to breathe more succinctly, more deeply, more fluidly, they would find that working with that in conjunction with whatever other procedures they're using or modalities, that they would actually expedite their healing. When it comes to the Ho'oponopono, the idea is still being connected with that energy, with that essence, with the breath. So most people will suggest that you sit quietly. You get into a nice space within. And what I mean by that is not quieting your mind where you don't hear anything or where it's a matter of saying, oh, I have no thoughts. That's virtually impossible. That's like saying, do not see that pink elephant in the middle of the room. It doesn't happen. Yes, there are ways to get there, but that's for another show. The gist is there are many different ways to breathe, to meditate, to contemplate. None of it is as important as literally just connecting with yourself and breathing, listening to the sound of your own breath, being present in the moment, understanding that whatever's going on in your world, in this moment you're safe. The floor is beneath you. You're sitting, you're breathing, you have a roof over your head, that in this moment you are present. Keeping that in mind, getting into that space of quietness, of connectedness. There's a couple of phrases I'm going to give you. And again, feel free to Google or Yahoo or whatever medium you're using to look up on the internet Ho'oponopono. And even if you just put Ho-op, I'm sure information will come up because, like I said, most of the time I say it kind of funny. And spelling it, I'm not going to go there. Anyways, it's real simple. I love you. Please forgive me. I am sorry. Thank you. Now, those 4 phrases can be mixed up, and there's different schools of thought on that. I have a dear friend who also has studied this methodology, and she says, absolutely not. It's got to be done in the right way, in the same way. And the truth of the matter is, I like to begin and end with saying I love you. Who is it? Mr. Vitale, who teaches a lot and talks about the mind and talks about abilities and speaks on how to transform your world. He does it that way. There are a lot of facilitators that do it that way. If you're in Hawaii, it might be done a little differently. So just think in terms of I love you being the first and the last thing that you say. And if you're thinking, well, who are you saying I love you to? Well, you're saying I love you to yourself. You are saying I love you to your higher consciousness. You are saying I love you to whomever and whatever needs to be transmuted. So specifically, if you're looking at, let's say, a broken arm, and the doctor says, oh, it's going to take 6 to 9 weeks to heal, 6 to 8 weeks, whatever it is, you may actually speed up the process. Say, I love you. The idea of unconditional love for your circumstance. Not, oh, I love you that I broke my arm. It is, I love you because I am present. I love you because I am breathing. I love you because this situation, this circumstance is a part of me. I am sorry. I am sorry is not I did something wrong, but I am sorry is more a matter of a perception of your world. I'm sorry for anything that I may have misconstrued, seen in the wrong light, or perhaps missed. It is not I'm sorry because I'm wrong. It is I'm sorry because I need to acknowledge that perhaps I could have done it a little differently. Please forgive me. Again, it is not to someone, it is to yourself. It is to the, if you will, higher aspect of yourself or the person that you're doing this for, and saying, please forgive me in the sense of, if I missed anything, I am now becoming accountable for it. If for some reason my perceptions were slightly askewed, then in this moment, I'm changing that. So please forgive me. Allow me to connect with you, to connect on a higher plane. And then I love you. Or excuse me, thank you, and then I love you. I missed one. The thank you really is having a conscious awareness that you are important. Too often, the reason we get ill is because we are not taking good care of ourselves. The reason we get ill or something is askew in our life is because of our perceptions. And we don't always catch it because a lot of times it takes place when we're a child. Somebody says something to you and you start to take on that ideal that no matter what you do it wrong, or perhaps that if you do it, you have to work really hard at it, or that you're not strong enough or big enough or capable enough. And the truth of the matter is, you are. So when you say thank you are thanking yourself. You are thanking your physical being, your spiritual being, your emotional being, your mental being. You are thanking every aspect of who you are and every aspect of all that you see and don't see. And then you begin again, I love you. So it is, I love you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And then you repeat. And if you're wondering, well, how long do I do this for? And does this really work? You would be amazed at how things transform. Get into your mind, like I said, to be calm, to be peaceful, to be centered in the moment, and then focus on whatever it is that you'd like to see healed. Perhaps it's a relationship. Perhaps it's, like I said, a broken arm. Perhaps it's something more acute than that. Whatever it is, whether it is for yourself or someone else, you are, if you will, putting out good vibes. If nothing else, it can't hurt. The idea of prayer, science has shown us that prayer works. Science has shown us that a group of people with similar mindset, with intention, can transform situations. There's all sorts of documentation. So it's not just woo-woo. It's not just esoteric or metaphysical or even holistic. You actually have something concrete to back it up. For those of you who have that very linear thought, very analytical, you can allow yourself to say, okay, I can try this. So again, you say, I love you. You say, I am sorry. You say, please forgive me. You say, thank you, and you repeat. And just say it till you feel comfortable. If you start to laugh, that's okay. If you start to feel a little more calm or a little more content or even silly, all of those things are good because it helps shift where you are. We're going to take a brief moment and we'll be back. So please visit with us again in just a moment. Run, get a drink, do whatever you need to do, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to Empowerment Psychic Halley Elise, and she invites you to visit her website for more information about all that she does at HalleyElise.com. Now, back to your host, Empowerment Psychic Halley Elise.
Hi, if you're just joining us, you'll find that we were talking about healing and Ho'oponopono, that on the Halley Elise Show, I will have some amazing guests over time, but sometimes you get me and just me, and I get to share and play, which is kind of the idea. All right, so we spoke, about Ho'oponopono in respect to the traditional phraseology. I mentioned earlier that I had met a shaman gentleman from Hawaii who had taught me a variation. And his variation is, instead of to say, I love you, I am sorry, please forgive me, thank you, what you are to say is, I am at peace, I am resting, I am healing. And then you say, I love you. I thank you. I bless you. And so it is. And it's interesting because this particular shaman had all sorts of illness and was diagnosed with some things that supposedly were going to take his life. And he had a great idea. And I started thinking about how simple this is, and yet kind of funny in the sense that most people would look at this and go, really? What is that? It doesn't make sense. Why would you even think this? And I'm going to share what this is because you're probably going, what? Okay. You know those little stickies that you would put on, let's say, an envelope? Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank of what it's called, but basically it is a label. Think label. And normally if you were to send something out, you would type a label, to whom, the address, the zip, what have you, stick it on, you send it off, right? And the intention there is that you are getting the message to that person. Okay. He took it a step further. He went ahead and typed out, I am at peace, I am resting, I am healing, I love you, I thank you, I bless you, and so it is. And put it on these little stickers, little skinny stickers. And he put them all over his body. Okay, I know, sounds corny, sounds funny. It makes you think, really, what's wrong with this person? But the doctors can't figure out why he's well. That's kind of neat. So what do you have to lose? I mean, really think about this. If there's something simple that you can do that might transform your world, that might make a huge impact, that might help you heal in ways that you can't imagine, how can it hurt? Truly, it's simple. And what I think is a lot of fun is it doesn't have to be typed on the computer or laser printed or anything else. Take a Post-it, if worse comes to worse, and a little adhesive tape, and tape it in an area. You're having problems with your neck? Try it. It won't hurt. And you may just find that you feel better. Now, I mentioned before as to using this for yourself or other people, and there is a school of thought when it comes to healing and energy work that you have to get permission and have someone say, yes, I want you to help me, or I want you to focus on me, or I want you to work on me. And then there's another school of thought that says, as long as you're doing it with the intention of the person's highest good, that you have permission. I've worked with different schools of thought here. When I worked with Dr. Eric Pearl and we did the reconnection, the idea is to tap into frequencies of healing, and that because they are frequencies of healing, it has nothing to do with will. It has to do with allowing those frequencies to connect with the person in whatever way benefits them. So I guess this is the intention here. If you plan on doing something to help someone else, think in terms of just healing. Just allowing, just connecting in whatever way is going to benefit them, in whatever way is going to make an impact on their life. Now, if someone, for instance, is dealing with cancer, the idea is not to sit before you start to do any sort of healing work and say, oh, I'm just focusing on cancer. No. And actually just the opposite. I'm reminded of Mother Teresa. When people asked her about going to war rallies, anti-war rallies, she said, I will not attend. If you have a peace rally, I will attend. And I believe the same is true when it comes to anything having to do with healing. Don't focus on what it is that you need to be healed for or from, but focus on the intention of wellness. Focus on the health itself. So whether you're using a Post-it, whether you're using a statement, doesn't matter. Again, back to, when I mentioned earlier, I do a 360. I'll be in one place and I'll come back. When you're focusing on someone else and their wellness, just focus on their wellness. It's kind of like saying, I'm sending you love. You know how you sign a note and you say, love so-and-so, or I'm wishing you well? It is the same concept, except think of it multiplied by greater than you can imagine, because you're tapping into universal love. You are tapping into universal healing. And though many of us don't realize when we come into this world we have these gifts, we do. The perfect example is you have a child or you have a loved one, let's say, who's gone through something, and you say, come here, sweetheart, and you embrace them. You hold them close to you, and they calm, and they feel better, and they all of a sudden connect with that peace. That's energy. That is literally a transmission of energy. You are transmitting a loving, healing energy. We could go into light. We can go into how quantum physics identifies all this. Really, honestly, it's not necessary. If you are really curious and, again, you're analytically minded and you want more information, look it up. You will find that there is a lot of research done to support the fact that we connect, that we do things without even thinking about it. But the most important thing is to remember you have the ability to heal yourself and help others. And it's not a matter of being a healer. It's a matter of allowing that, if you will, divine light, divine energy to move through you. To just be open to it. And I think if nothing else that you take from today, think in terms of if there is something not right in your world, whether it is physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, on any plane, that you can connect with your higher power. And it's interesting because I say the word higher power because a lot of people find that if you use the word God, they're uncomfortable. Somebody else prefers goddess or Buddha or Mohammed or Dashem. Whatever is your connection, that's what you connect with. Higher intelligence. It's all good. Jesus, oh, I'm so sorry, I forgot Jesus. It comes down to just truly saying, okay, I'm allowing myself to connect with my higher power. And even if you don't believe in a higher power, other than that you're part of creation and growth, allow yourself to just say, okay, I'm connecting with the earth. I'm connected with all of creation. It really is that simple. So, ho'oponopo, breathe, be present, simple. Now, each show is going to be a little different. You won't find that every show is all about healing. A lot of times we'll talk about metaphysics. You'll have the opportunity to call in and get readings on certain shows, but not every show. I will let you know when you can call in and what the number is. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here. Remember, if you're listening on the radio, that you can go to my website and see the live streaming, and that is HalleyElise.com. Thanks so much. I just want to let you know as well that we do have the monthly galleries. So be sure that you check out the website for that. And if you go, well, wait, I'm confused. It's on Monday night and your show's on Monday night. I know. The show runs from 6:30 to 7. The gallery is actually from 7:30 to 9:30, depending on how many people attend, because I do my best to read everybody in the audience. So very reasonably priced. You come out, you learn some lovely techniques that you can do at home to actually embrace your own awareness and intuitiveness. You have the opportunity to interact with some like-minded people, or even if you're skeptical, you can come out and check it out and see what you think. If nothing else, I'm entertaining. So be sure to check out the website. Listen in on Mondays. If you miss the show totally, you can go to amp2.tv. That's amp2.tv, and you can see the archive there. You won't just go and automatically see. You actually have to type in Halley Elise. And for those of you who are thinking Elsie, nope, it's Elise. It's Elise. My producer's shaking his head because there was something that was done and Elsie was everywhere. So I had to laugh about it and have to tease him. I'll probably be teasing him for a long time. Anyways, I really appreciate you tuning in. I hope you enjoyed. Remember Ho'oponopo, remember HalleyElise.com, and I am local to the Boca Raton area, so if you'd like to get in touch, please do. Once again, thank you, and have a lovely evening.
Be enchanted and delighted. Connect each week here on WNN for the Halley Elise Show, also on Facebook and at HalleyElise.com. Thanks for tuning in. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.